What's going on in the California housing market? On one side, you hear that home sales are slowing, and on the other side, you're hearing that homes are selling in record time over the asking price with multiple offers. I have clients out looking for property, and by the time they see the property and we go out and actually take a look at it, chances are they have multiple offers on them. In some cases, we're not even able to make it there because of how many offers they have received, and sellers are just cutting it down, shutting down the showings and not allowing us to get in there. So, we're going to spend a little bit of time today and talk about why home sales are likely declining, but yet you're still seeing this appreciation across the board here in California. And we're going to take a look at the latest report from the California Association of Realtors that breaks down what's happening in the state of California in all of the different regions. We're going to take a look at price points, what's happening with the median price. We're going to talk about, months of inventory that we currently have to work with and what we expect over the next couple of months. But before we dive into that, I want to take a minute and introduce myself. My name is Jeb Smith. I'm a real estate broker here in Southern California. My channel is all about real estate, helping guide you through that process. So do me a favor, if you find value in this content, hit that thumbs up. So why are home sales declining, but yet prices are appreciating? You can't even find a property before it's sold. Well, you're likely seeing home sales decline because of inventory levels. There's not a lot of property out there to choose from, and therefore buyers can't make offers on property that's not there. And when they can't make offers, you see home sales start to decline. In fact, we have declined for 3 months in a row, with regards to home sales. And this could continue if we continue to see the pace of home selling in record days, and demand stay where it is. Now, yesterday I posted a video discussing interest rates, and interest rates have come back down considerably from the highs just a couple of weeks ago. And so that has demand staying where it is, which is high, right? We've seen high demand for the last couple of months. 6-8 months even, and with that time we've seen inventory decline. So with those two factors, you have a very, very strong housing market. And so towards the end of December, we talked about what we would likely see coming into this year, maybe inventory pick up and that sort of thing, because at the end of the year we saw a similar market as to what we're seeing right now. We saw home sales starting to decline. People thought, well, maybe this is the end. We're going to start to see some change because there's not as much, not as many sales happening in the market, but it was because there wasn't a lot of inventory to choose from. But since then, we saw inventory pick up, but at the same time, we saw home buyer demand pick up, which is really, kept inventory at all-time lows. I mean, the lowest I've seen it in nearly 18 years of doing this business. But I did want to take a minute and pull up the report from the California Association of Realtors, go over some highlighted items in there, because I think there's some things in there that are important that can give you an idea of why we're seeing the market that we are and why it will likely continue for at least the next 6-8 months through 2021. Now we're still going to have seasonal adjustments in the market as we get further into spring and through the summer and back into the winter. You're going to see some changes in the market, but not enough to really change the environment as a whole. So let's take a minute and pull up that report from the California Association of Realtors. All right, so here we are. This is the March home sales and price report. California median home price reaches new all-time high in March as nearly 2/3 of homes sell above the asking price. That is important, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. Existing single-family home sales totaled 446,410 in March. That is down 3.5% from February, but up 19.7% from March of 2020. Now, understand, March of 2020 last year, was the start of the pandemic. There, at that time, people didn't know what was going to happen, so home sales were slower then. But March's statewide median home price was $758,990. That's up 8.6% from just February. And up 23.9% from March of 2020. Year-to-date home sales were up 17.1% in March. As I mentioned, home sales were down 3.5% from the 462,720 number in February, but again, up from last year. So, why are we seeing less home sales? Why are we seeing the numbers decline? Because again, it says the monthly sales decline was the third in a row and the sales pace was the lowest since last July. It's because there's not a lot of property to choose from. Buyers can't buy homes that aren't there. So don't, read into the false narrative when people say that home sales have slowed down, that you're going to see a slowdown in the market, because that's not why home sales have slowed down. Home sales have slowed down because there's nothing out there for most people to buy. People can't find something that meets what they're looking for. California median home price set another record high in March. It surged nearly 24% from just a year ago. The statewide median home price climbed 8.6% on a month-to-month basis in March, up from February $699 and up 23.9% from March of last year. The year-over-year gain was the highest since October 2013. Now, I know many of you don't remember October of 2013, but at the beginning of 2013 is when the housing market really started to change. From the housing crisis, crash, whatever you want to call it, that happened, between 2006 and 2008. 2008 through 2012 is when a lot of those properties sold. But at the end of 2012, very start of 2013 is when the market started to take off. I mean, we saw home prices jump considerably during that time, and this is essentially what we're seeing right now. So at the regional levels, all major markets except for the Central Valley experienced a double-digit sales surge from a year ago. The San Francisco Bay Area had the highest year-over-year gain at a growth rate of 35% from March of 2020. Now, if any of you out there watch my videos, you know that we have people commenting all the time on the San Francisco market, how crazy it is out there, how quickly properties sell when they do come on the market, a lot of times over the asking price, so on and so forth. So this just, shows you the data that goes directly with what those people are saying. So the Central Coast, 31.8%, Far North, 26.1%, and SoCal, 23.3%. The Central Valley, 9.6%, was the only region with a sales gain of less than 10% on a year-over-year basis. So we move on to say home sales and resort markets remained robust in March, with Big Bear, Lake Arrowhead, Tahoe all increasing more than 50% from a year ago. Now, we're not talking prices, we're talking the number of sales that are happening in those markets. And that's largely due to the pandemic. People were stuck at home, and if people were stuck at home, they wanted to be stuck in a resort area so that they could do things, so they could get out of the house in a lot of ways. So we've seen, sales in these markets go crazy because of that. Now, it's hard to say how long that will continue. As things start to ease, you'll likely see the resort markets, in my opinion, pull back first. But again, it's really hard to say. If there's pent-up demand in these areas, you may see it continue for some time. Every major region set a new median price in March 2021 and continued to increase from last year by double digits. As we mentioned, all 51 counties tracked by the California Association of Realtors reported a gain in median price on a year-over-year basis, with 45 of them increasing more than 10%. So more than 45 out of the 51 counties in California increased more than 10% just a year ago. The unsold inventory index dropped to 1.6 months in March from 2 months in February. So that's a lot, right? That's almost 25% of our inventory we've sold in just 1 month from February to now, right? We're down to 1.6 months of supply. And that was down sharply from 1 year ago when inventory was at 2.7 months. So we have no inventory on the market, guys. That's why things are selling very, very quickly in record time. The median number of days it took to sell a California single-family home hit a record low of 8 days in March. That's why when you're out there looking at property, you see something you like, you need to see it if you're in the housing market. Now, I'm not telling you this to go buy a home. I'm telling you that if you really want to buy a home, you've got to see them quickly. I have clients all the time email me something, and by the time I call, it's gone. I mean, there's multiple offers quickly. Things have sold, in very fast time. California's statewide sales price to list ratio posted a record high in March at 102.2%. So that tells you, me as a buyer's agent out there talking to buyers and that are looking to purchase, they're asking, what should we offer? That right there tells you that most of the homes are selling over the asking price. So us as realtors aren't telling you that to drive up the price. I'm telling you that if you want to get the property, you're going to likely have to come in above that price in most cases. Not all cases, but most cases. Working with a professional, they can run the comparables for you. They can give you an idea of where things might go. But at this market, it's hard to tell just because of how fast things are moving and what people are willing to do. Active listings fell 51.1% in March from last year. That's huge, guys. 51% less properties from March of last year. The third consecutive month that listings declined more than 50% on a month-to-month basis. For sale properties inched up by 5.3% in March and should climb further in coming months as the market moves into the spring home buying season while the economy continues to improve. So I've talked about that several times, how, as we move into spring, you're likely going to see more homes come to the market. I don't think that means that you're going to see a decline in prices. I just think it's going to give buyers more options, more property to choose from, which hopefully means less offers on one property, and it's going to be spread across multiple properties, giving more people an opportunity to get in if they want. The available supply of homes for sale continue to tighten up across the board, with all major regions near their record low levels. 49 of the 51 counties recorded a decline in active listings on a year-over-year basis in March. And I'm not going to read all the rest of that. You can take a look there. And this just goes to the data, right? March of this year, 758,990. Just February, we're at 699. March of last year, 612, 440. These are the month-over-month, year-over-year changes in the market. Here you can see sales were down 3.5%. But you're seeing prices continue to appreciate, right? 699 to 758. Also, we go over townhomes here. And then we took a look at Southern California, where I'm located, Orange County. Our price in our median price in March was $1,025,000. Just last month, it was $995,000. A year ago, it was at $882,000. Again, we saw a 3% increase month over month and a 16.2% increase year over year. You can see the other counties here for LA, Orange, San Bernardino, San Diego, Ventura, if you're interested in those markets. And here we go, looking at inventory. So inventory, again, down 1 point to 1.6 months versus 2 months just a month ago. That's huge, guys. Huge. Home selling in 8 days in March versus 10 in February versus 15 a year ago. And that's because we have a lack of supply. And this right here in Southern California pretty much corresponds with that information. So hopefully that gives you a little idea of what's happening in the housing market if you're somebody out there that's looking. If you're somebody that's looking to wait, I don't know that waiting is going to bring lower prices. It might bring you more options to choose from, which in some cases could be a good thing. But at the same time, that might mean paying more for it. I don't think interest rates are going to go very far, as we've discussed in other videos. Just because of the economy and what is happening out there. We're not likely to see a big change in interest rate, which means that buyer demand is likely going to stay there unless we continue to see these crazy, appreciation numbers. At some point, if we continue to see appreciation like we have over the last 6 months, clearly people are getting priced out of this market, and growth at this rate is not healthy. I don't think that means you're going to see anything crazy happen in the short term, but that could lead to longer term problems. Me, as a professional real estate agent, don't like to see appreciation at the record numbers that we're seeing it. I would love to see a more balanced market, one that is more property to choose from. I'd love to see rates stay low, but for the moment, that's not happening. So just keep that in mind if you're out there looking, if you're a seller thinking about selling. It's a great opportunity just because there's not a lot to choose from. But if you have to buy something, that's the caveat and something to keep in mind on that front as well. If you have questions for me, you can leave them below. You can reach out to me directly as always. I love the feedback. Would love to hear your thoughts on the housing market as well. So leave those below. But for now, I appreciate you taking the time to watch. Appreciate the support. Hope to see you again soon. Have an awesome day. Bye-bye.